Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today, we are going to be reacting to Cheyenne Bryant interview with Shannon Sharpe. I've talked about him before on this channel, and I like to talk about relationship stuff. So I'm going to talk about um, I'm going to react to their interview because this is where she talks to him about his decision not to get married and his, how he selects women. And I thought this was pretty interesting. I know people don't like Cheyenne Bryant. She's not my favorite person. Broken clocks can be right twice a day though, right? So let me add her onto the screen and then we're going to get started. I apologize in advance for some of the language, but y'all already know what's up.
Why is that an issue? I want to ask you that as a Black man.
Yes.
Why is that a problem for y'all to cleave, which means evolve, which means lose parts of you when you are in a relationship? Why is there so much resistance of I am who I am? I'm not changing. You met me like this.
Yeah. That's a lot. Because I feel like, because like you said, we are losing parts. If we lose parts of ourselves, am I still the same Shannon?
But why do you want to be the same Shannon, even if you're by yourself? So do you want to be the same 30-year-old Shannon you were?
No.
So then why do you want to be that on your number 2 with me, or your number 5 with me? Why is it that me being the woman you chose,
Yes.
I got to be of some good character?
Yeah.
So my good character hasn't influenced you in any way to want to
It made me want to do right.
do better,
Yeah.
to do right.
But can I say
Hold on.
me?
I haven't watered any seeds in you.
Yeah, you have.
And so when those seeds are watered, right, and you start to grow, what about the pruning season?
Let me say something. This is why it's so important to marry somebody who is growth minded. Because this mentality right here, I don't want to change. I am who I am. I like who I am, is somebody who is afraid of losing their identity because they don't actually know who they are. One of the things that when I was dating is I was like, I need to be with someone who likes personal development, who likes growing and changing, who is hungry to be better, hungry to change. Changing, being better is not losing yourself. You're actually becoming more of who God intended you to be. So she's right about this. If men are resistant to change and you're dating, you don't have to throw the whole man away, but you have to put him to the side, because that means in marriage, they're gonna be like, no, I don't need to change. I'm good. You married me. I'm good. And the reality is number one, marriage necessitates change, but so does having a family. And if you're not willing to do that, you're going to have a problem
Within our relationship. So you just don't want to prune? Because if you don't want to prune, that means you don't want to grow. Because it takes pruning for growth.
Yes.
So explain to me. And even when we sow up the soil to plant new seeds, there's seeds down there that get sowed up that end up dead. So at what point do we grow together? This is one of the biggest deficits and issues within our Black community, of Black and men being in relationship. At what point do we grow? If you're not willing to grow, Fig Tree, at what point? And then when God curses this marriage, head, because you covering me, because you refuse to be fruitful and multiply, Fig Tree, then what? I didn't do my job? Or was I too controlling? Or was I trying to be your mama? Or was it that you chose to sit up there with branches, unfruitful, not multiplying, because you didn't want to be pruned for us to grow?
Broken clocks. Again, broken clocks. I'll say it again. If you're dating and you're choosing, you're looking for marriage, and you're a Christian, you are looking for someone who is the head. So she's not wrong about that, which means you are actually following their lead. If you are married to someone who doesn't want to change, by default, that relationship doesn't grow because they're leading. Now, you, of course, the Bible says you can win them over with your gentle and quiet spirit, but that's exhausting. It's exhausting to be in a relationship with someone who never sees anything wrong with themselves. That's exhausting. And that's the kind of person, when you don't see anything wrong with yourself, you don't feel the need to change or grow. You're like, well, I'm good. I'm fine. So now as a woman, I'm following behind you, but you don't see yourself doing anything wrong. So we're just stagnant. She's not wrong about that. Now she has her own little way of saying it, but she's not wrong about that.
I'm just curious. I'm waiting to know the answer.
I wish I knew the answer.
And you look like you might be the only black man in this room besides the brother over there, and he's not in this interview with me.
No.
So why? You got to answer. You got to come up with some
Well,
answer.
Doc, if I knew that, I probably wouldn't be almost 60 and not married.
And I've heard you.
And you see what's interesting too is like we glorify this sometimes in the community. We glorify, oh, you don't have to get married. You can get all the women that you want in the world. But there's something very childish about that. There's something very juvenile, immature, because you're avoiding the growth that comes with marriage. And I've said this before, and you guys have heard me talk about this a lot. Being married is very different than being in a relationship with someone. You could live together all you want to, you could play house, but being married is very different. It's a pressure cooker that requires a different kind of change. When men actively avoid that, it's because they're actively avoiding the responsibility of being a leader. They're actively avoiding the responsibility of being accountable.
You talk about how you are in relationships.
I am. I mean, like you say, you got something non-negotiable. I got some non-negotiable.
Right, but you're very, and I don't say this to poke you. Yeah. I'm saying wrapped in love. You're very stuck in who you are in relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And when I want my space, I want my space, and I don't need a shift or change. You can do what's conducive to me, type thing.
Yeah.
And so that is the resistance. But you just said, as a single man, you would not want to be the same 30-year-old you are now.
I don't, but I just.
So why do you want a woman to be with you while you just?
Okay, I wish you would let him talk though.
Same person you were when I met you.
I'm working. I'm a work in progress. It's taking me longer than anticipated. I had to repeat a couple of grades.
Okay.
I think, to be honest, Doc, I don't know, I don't know, maybe like you say you had this vision of being married. I don't know if I really, really deep down inside thought about I was going to ever be married, because I was just, my whole focus was to get my family out of the environment that we were in.
Right.
You're going to hear him talk about this too. He never had a married family. Like, he had his grandparents, but he never saw like a mom, a dad, and kids. So this is why it's important that someone wants to be married. Don't be dating people who don't want to be married, because they'll talk a good game, but they genuinely don't want to be married. That's another thing.
And I didn't necessarily think, I thought I needed a wife in order to do that. Mm-hmm. So it was just work, focus. And I don't do a great job of multitasking. Mm-hmm. So I can't do my job and love this person like I love this job. That's the hardest part, because I've always put work first. Work has always come first. When I played, it was the most important thing. It was the only thing. You play second, or if you can't play second, just we ain't no sense in you getting in the car. And so it's so hard for me to turn that off, because I've done it for so long. And now that I have so many people counting on me, brother, sister, mom, kids, it's just hard for me. And the thing that I got, that's all you do is work. The only thing that you care about is work. And sometimes I think that is true, because I've gone on one vacation.
Listen to her response to this.
In 57 years.
But what are you overcompensating for? Because workaholics are overcompensating for something they're lacking. And oftentimes work is transactional.
Yes.
It's not relational. It's transactional.
Yes.
Oftentimes folks will overcompensate in transactional worlds for what they're lacking in relational worlds. And it's usually because of what you said. They don't know how to operate in the relational world.
No.
But they do well over here.
I do.
And we all go where we do what?
Well. Yes. That's why I don't do a whole lot of things, but what I do, I'm very good at.
Yeah.
I don't take on new hobbies because I hate, how do you know if you're good at it? I know. And so what I'm good at, I become great at. I think.
But I want to know, when are you going to give yourself a chance to love and be loved? Because
here are 5 signs that you're a weak speaker. You replay conversations in your head. You get talked over.
You don't have to enter into it being great already. You just have to enter into it with the willingness to shift and be malleable, not to the woman, but to the opportunity of you being loved.
See, this is insecurity right here. This is something too, when you look at when you are dating, See how a man acts when he's doing something new. Is he teachable? Not by you, but by another man. Like, is he able to learn? Or is he like, see, because Shannon's like, I don't do very many new things. I know what I'm good at. That's insecurity. That's actually shameful and sad. So you're missing out on all kinds of opportunities in life because you're afraid of being a baby giraffe. I've talked about this before. Learn to be a baby giraffe. You look a mess. You know when baby giraffes come out of their, the womb, they're walking kind of crazy and they're stumbling. Men who do not know how to be baby giraffes have very large egos, and they're typically not the best husbands because they're not interested in growth. Because growing requires you to admit that maybe you're not the best at it. But read between the lines. You see what I'm saying?
And loving somebody back.
Yeah.
Which is really, the ultimate fulfillment. The reason why we have to keep working and keep working and keep working and turn into workaholics is because there is a monetary or a limited fulfillment over here.
Yeah.
So we have to keep to get it.
Yeah.
Like a drug.
Yeah.
To get it.
Yes.
But see, love is not like that.
It's not. I think, Doc, for me, growing up how I grew up and not having, it just drove me. And that was the thing that I really obsessed about, was to see my grandmother not have to worry about bills and not have to worry about things. And so I just poured everything. God gave me the ability to be disciplined, be dedicated, and be determined. And so for me.
Wait, but not to a woman.
No, because if there was a choice, Doc, if I had a choice between work or woman, I'm choosing work.
But that's because work is safe for you.
It is.
What is so unsafe with you emotionally with the woman?
I think for me, I haven't had the best luck with women.
Why?
But I haven't been the best for them.
That's okay. Talk about the luck. What is the narrative around you haven't had the best luck with women?
Because I've never given them all of me like I have a job. I've only given.
Listen, that's fear. Men who are afraid to be in a relationship. Know when you're dealing with somebody who's afraid to be in a relationship.
I only gave them what they couldn't hurt.
There you go. This is good. What is it that they could hurt? What's that?
Me.
What part of you?
My heart.
That was hurt when? When was the first heartbreak you can even think of?
I don't even.
Who was it by?
I'm not even sure, Doc. Because
Was it by dad? Where's dad?
my dad died when I was 13.
Was he with mom?
No.
What kind of guy was he?
I only saw my dad once to really know who I was looking at.
There you go. There you go. So that abandonment, that abandonment wound. What is your narrative about your father? What kind of guy was he to only have seen him once?
Well, when he and my mom divorced, my grandfather, growing up how we grow up, get divorced, the kids are going with the maternal grandparents. And that's what we did. We came down to South Georgia.
But let me word it different then. What kind of father would you have to be to only see your child once in 13 years?
I think he was embarrassed.
Quiet as it's kept. Shannon Sharpe is similar.
About what?
Not being what he wanted what he thought he should have been. Not being there. My dad had some drinking issues, and he didn't think he was the father that he should have been. And I remember my grandmother, Grandma Charlie, his mom, told us that he wanted to come home. But at that point in time, he had both jawbones removed because of cancer. And Grandma Charlie, he called her Charlie. He said, Charlie, I don't want the kids to see me like this. And she said, Pete, they're going to love you regardless. They just want to see their dad. And he said, you know what? He said, you know what, Charlie, I'm going to come home in September.
Yeah.
Well, he died in August. And so, yeah, I would have loved, because when I played college ball and I played in the NFL and I saw guys have their dad in the locker room or standing on the sideline, I used to think, man, it'd be so cool to have my dad here and to be a part of this. But it didn't happen. But my grandfather died when I was 8, and that's who raised my grandmother and my grandfather. But Granny poured every ounce into me. But there are some things I think that I did miss because I didn't have. My brother was like my father.
Mm-hmm. This is so powerful too. Like, I'm glad that he's admitting this, because most men will not admit this. This is probably one of the best things that could have happened to Shannon Sharpe, because we've seen him act a hot fool. He's lost millions and millions of dollars chasing cat, instead of just being a normal individual, like being a responsible male. And this is the kind of stuff that men who do not grow up without fathers have to be willing to talk about. They have to be willing to talk about this so they can actually express it and then do something about it. If you are with a man who's not willing to talk about this part of his life, I would say be careful.
He was really the dominant male figure that was in my life. But that's, Doc, I mean, poverty, that's what kind of shaped me. And I joke, I say, man, we grew up so poor, I had to win the lottery just to be broke.
Right.
That's how bad we were, Doc.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me now. All I think about is like, okay, if something happens to me, what's gonna happen to Libby? What's gonna happen to Spanky? What's gonna happen to my mom? My kids, they're gonna be okay. They're gonna get more money than, would they do right by it? Would they? And that's what keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
And I need to devote, I need to shift that.
Yep.
And say, okay, Shannon, if something were to happen to you, your family's gonna be okay. Because I do want someone.
And I'm gonna say something, okay? And I totally wrap it in love, okay? Because it's gonna probably sound a little pokey, but the same selfishness you just described your father has, you have it. You have it.
She's right. Because if you do not deal with it, you become like them anyway. You become like them anyway. So you might as well deal with it. You cannot stuff it down, hide it behind sex and money and drugs. You cannot. You become like them anyway.
And the pain that his selfishness and his pride and his ego implemented in you is the same pain that you're implementing in everyone you come in contact with, including your girls and their mothers. What your father taught you was nobody, not even y'all, were good enough.
Yeah, he did the typical thing, which was like, I'm going to drop off my seed, but I'm not going to be there for you like that. My job is more important than you. She's right.
For him to come around or stay around. And nothing has been good enough for you to stay around. Not even your kids, because you obviously are not or were not with their mothers.
Right.
And it doesn't make you a bad man. It just makes you a man that needs to be aware of your makeup and how you're built, because you can't change that. When we talked about it earlier, you can manage that once you realize, damn, I'm him too. So until you realize that ego, that pride that he has taught you, and it's obviously in your DNA as well, and that selfishness is what will always be a barrier between you and your heart, not you and a woman, it's you and your heart, then you will always overcompensate and work. And you're going to do damn good over here. But it's going to come a time, if it hasn't already, that what you're overcompensating for, which is the heart space, starts to consume you. And you're going to need that to even balance you over here. Because we can only do something out of moderation for so long before the moderation says, yo, what's up? Especially the matters of the heart. And with you, it's what I said earlier, right? Hope deferred makes the heart sick. And when a little boy becomes deferred from hope at a young age with his father, and they take on the father role like you did and go and get it and put the family on the mat and take everybody out of poverty.
I learned that ChatGPT works best with detailed prompts, but I hate typing them. So instead,
he usually never returns to find himself. And the only thing, or one of the biggest things that kind of breaks my heart with you, is you've accomplished so much in everything you've touched transactionally. It has turned to gold, all the way down to the gold jacket. But like the fig tree, you still haven't found yourself.
And we do this too as women, like where we will work ourselves to the bone and neglect ourselves as well. We will do the same thing. So you have to be careful that you're not doing the same thing, working yourself to the bone and neglecting the core of who you are. Because it always gets, like she said, it always comes out in some way. That's why there's so many women who are very successful, but their health is out of balance. They're super successful, but they can't get into a relationship. Because at some point you have to address the issue.
All the way at the age of 60. And finding yourself takes the heart.
The mind replays what the heart can't delete.
Hello. And so you have been operating from such a mind space so that you don't have to even have a connection with the heart, that it has put you in such a deficit of self. And that's what goes back to when I said a man who can procreate with multiple women without wanting to make sure that there is a foundational family there, he has a loss of self. and that man has an identity crisis. And there is a huge self-love deficit because a man who loves himself makes decisions that represent self-love. And everything that you have externalized is a direct reflection of you. The brokenness in the families you created, that's just the brokenness in you.
And this is why, like, so I have this thing that I say all the time, which is like, you can never hide because your outer will reflect your inner. It always does in some way. I work with weight loss clients. So to me, it's like your body keeps the score. So you could pretend like you're doing all this stuff, but at the end of the day, when you do your check-in, I know if you haven't been doing what you're supposed to do, because your outer will always reflect your inner.
How you can be successful transactionally, but your heart is over here. Talking about, well, at what point am I going to get seen? And then what the little boy in you tells the heart is, didn't nobody want to see you when you was young? Wasn't nobody tripping off you then? So why do we think anybody is deserving, right? Or why do I think as a little boy that you're deserving of someone who would take your heart and really protect it and create a safe space? So it's easier for you to have transactional sex or have things that are convenient for you because that gives you control. And control is just insecurity. Insecurity is just fear. And that's that little boy in you who is so afraid that if I can't touch and go with everything, I might end up touch and staying and might get stuck in a place that I don't know how to navigate. Let me say this again, not in a place that isn't safe, not in a place that isn't loving, but in a place that the little boy in you does not know how to navigate. It's time for the grown man in you to grow the fuck up and give yourself a chance to love, whatever that looks like, and to gain a sense of self of who you really are at your heart space.
I'm going to stop this right here because she said something really important. You keep yourself from a place that you don't know how to navigate. And that's fear. That's insecurity, right? You keep yourself because you're going, and remember, Shannon Sharpe said, I don't like trying new things. I don't like having to be, I don't like having to try to be a dad. I don't want to have to try to be a husband. I want to basically know that I'm already good at it. So what do? He can be good at being a philanderer, but he can't be good at being a father or a husband. So he doesn't do it. He's not willing to take that risk. And how many of us are not taking risks because we're afraid of being a baby giraffe at it? That's the question. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.